Composing is such a vast subject that it can really be intimidating for a beginner to know where to start. Should you learn harmony, or should you spend your time learning counterpoint? What about orchestration? Everyone wants to write those huge epic symphonies like Mahler or Bruckner. In fact, by doing this course, I'm going to guess that you've already tried a number of those things. To digress a little bit, when I was a teenager, I attempted all sorts of compositions, including sonatas and symphonies and concertos, and the reality was, I didn't finish them. And the ones I did finish, well, they didn't sound very good. Now sure, I could come up with some good melodic ideas and some interesting harmony, but I had no real idea on how to develop my music. And the main reason was, I never had anyone teach me some fundamental concepts about music composition, in particular form, and how my ideas fell into certain categories of form. Now without these key ideas, I couldn't really get very far. So in this course, I'm going to teach you some of the grammar of music composition and a lot of the logic behind the compositions. And this will all be within the framework of formal units, or more specifically, formal functions. So before we get into these definitions though, I need to make sure we're all talking the same language, so I'm going to cover some basics. By the end of this video, you should have an understanding of the materials used in music composition, including scales and chords. And specifically, you should understand the different scales used in music composition, how we get chords from those scales, and how we can use those chords to create a simple melody. There are also some fundamental concepts that you will learn in this lesson. First one is composing means setting limitations on yourself. Without limitations, you cannot really explore the boundaries of your creativity. The second one, music composition follows logical rules. Sometimes these rules can be broken, but they can only be broken when you know them, otherwise it's just a mistake. And then third, you can create a huge amount of variety from very limited material to work with. In fact, this last point about variety is important. It's why someone like Beethoven can take a single motive and turn it into an entire movement. So if I ask you to write a melody off of the top of your head, depending on your skill level, you may or may not know where to begin. You look at something like a piano or a guitar and you think, there are so many notes. How do I begin to put them together in a way that sounds good? Well, that is true, but there are some very important limitations that we must set for ourselves before we begin the process. Now let me get one thing out here while I'm at it. This course is specifically a course in traditional tonal composition. That means that I won't be talking about serial composition or modern avant-garde techniques or anything of that nature. I feel it's necessary to understand tonal composition first, basically where we came from, before you can truly appreciate where we are now in music. Plus, I believe that most people, when they want to learn to compose, are really thinking of tonal composition first, and then they move into those more dissonant ideas later. So that's a very important limitation given from the start. Beyond that, the first limitation is that we will be working from within the system of tonality called major-minor.